Have you ever thought that a small, shiny 10-cent coin in your hand could secretly be worth millions of dollars? Sounds unbelievable, right? But the truth is, like some Roosevelt dimes, the same ones most people spend without a second thought, have turned out to be life-changing treasures for those lucky enough to find them. Imagine discovering a coin in your old collection, your wallet, or even your pocket change, only to learn it could buy you a luxury car, a dream house, or even change your entire life forever. That's not fantasy. That's the incredible reality behind some of the world's most valuable Roosevelt dimes. The story of the Roosevelt dime begins in 1946, right after America mourned the loss of one of its greatest leaders, President Franklin D. Roosevelt. His courage through the Great Depression, his leadership in World War II, and his vision for a stronger America earned him a place not just in history books, but also on one of the nation's most iconic coins. The dime became a symbol of resilience and hope, introduced by the U.S. Mint to honor his memory. What started as a simple tribute to a great leader has now become one of the most fascinating chapters in the world of rare coins. Over the decades, certain Roosevelt dimes have become priceless, not just for their age, but for their rarity, composition, and minting errors that were never meant to exist. From 90% silver dimes of the early years to those with double dies, off-center strikes, or rare mint marks, these tiny coins hide secrets that collectors would pay a fortune to own. Some of them have fetched jaw-dropping prices at auctions. Coins once worth 10 cents, now selling for thousands, even millions of dollars. So hold on tight, because in this video, we're going to explore the most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever discovered, the coins that turned ordinary people into overnight millionaires. We'll uncover the hidden stories behind them, the rare minting mistakes that make them so valuable, and how you can spot one that could be worth a fortune. You never know, the next Roosevelt dime you come across might just be your ticket to unimaginable wealth. Now we will talk about one of the most valuable and mysterious coins in all of American history, of the 1975 No S Proof Roosevelt dime. This tiny 10-cent coin, smaller than your thumbnail, has stunned the world with its unbelievable value and rarity. At first glance, it looks just like an ordinary dime that you might find in your change. But what makes this coin truly extraordinary is a tiny detail that's missing. The letter S, that one small missing mint mark, has turned this dime into a treasure worth nearly $500,000. The story begins in 1975. At the San Francisco Mint, every proof coin that year was supposed to bear the S mint mark under the date, a sign that it was specially struck for collectors. Proof coins are known for their mirror-like finish, carefully made with polished dies to achieve perfection. But somehow, a handful of these dimes were minted without the S mark, an error that should have been impossible. Whether it was a mistake during die preparation or a moment of oversight in the minting process, no one knows for sure. What we do know is that only a few of these coins escaped into the world, hidden inside proof sets that looked completely normal. For years, no one even realized this mistake existed. Then one day, a sharp-eyed collector opened a 1995 proof set and noticed something strange. There was no S below the date on his dime. The discovery sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. The U.S. Mint confirmed the error, and suddenly, the coin became a legend. To this day, only 2 examples of the 1975 No S Proof Roosevelt dime have ever been found. Yes, just 2 known in the entire world. That makes it rarer than most gold or silver treasures ever minted. When one of these coins appeared at auction, collectors from across the globe battled to own it. The final selling price? A jaw-dropping $456,000 for a dime originally worth 10 cents. It was one of those unbelievable moments in coin history that left people speechless. A simple minting error had created a masterpiece of rarity. What makes this coin even more fascinating is its symbolism. The Roosevelt dime was created to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, the man who led America through the Great Depression and World War II. He founded the March of Dimes, helping fight polio, so it's fitting that his face appears on this coin. Yet decades later, one tiny mistake turned his tribute coin into one of the most sought-after collectibles in U.S. history. So, if you ever come across a 1975 Roosevelt dime, don't ignore it. Take a closer look under the date. If you don't see that tiny S mint mark, you could be holding one of the rarest coins on Earth. It's a reminder that even the smallest object can hold the biggest surprise, and sometimes the most ordinary-looking dime can make you a millionaire overnight. Now we will talk about another legendary coin that shocked the entire numismatic world, the 1968 No S Proof Roosevelt dime. This small, shiny 10-cent coin may look ordinary at first, But behind its simple appearance hides a story of mistake, mystery, and massive value. It's one of those rare treasures that collectors dream about. A coin created by accident, yet worshipped by experts and valued in the tens of thousands of dollars. The story begins in 1968, a historic year when the San Francisco Mint resumed making proof coins after years of absence. Every proof coin struck there was supposed to proudly display the S Mint mark, proof that it came from the San Francisco Mint. These coins were specially made for collectors, struck with polished dies and handled with extreme care. But somehow, through an unexpected minting error, a few dimes were produced without the S Mint mark. No one at the Mint noticed. The coins looked flawless, shiny, perfect, and ready to be placed inside official proof sets. And that's exactly what happened. These no-S dimes quietly slipped into a handful of 1968 proof sets that were sent out to collectors. Nobody realized it until one sharp-eyed collector years later noticed something odd. His 1968 proof dime had no mint mark at all. That tiny missing letter, invisible to most people, instantly turned the coin into a national sensation. The U.S. Mint confirmed the error and collectors went wild trying to find one. Today, experts believe that only about a dozen genuine examples of the 1968 no-S proof dime exist. That's it. Just a few in the whole world. Each one is a masterpiece of minting error, a rare survivor of an incredible mistake that no one can ever repeat. And when one of these rare dimes appears at auction, it can sell for $30,000 to $50,000, depending on its condition, some even higher when preserved in perfect proof grade. What makes this dime even more fascinating is its connection to a moment of transition in U.S. coin history. In the mid-1960s, the mint had switched from silver to copper nickel-clad coins, and mint marks were temporarily removed to discourage hoarding. By 1968, mint marks returned, and ironically, that very year this no-S error was born, a small oversight that defied the mint's new precision, giving collectors a priceless mistake. The 1968 no-S dime stands as proof that even in a world of machines and precision, human error can still create miracles. It's more than just a coin. It's a story of luck, history, and pure chance. Imagine opening an old proof set one day and spotting that missing S. That moment could change your life forever. So the next time you come across a 1968 proof set, don't rush past it. Take a closer look at the dime, because if that tiny mint mark is missing, you could be holding a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars, a piece of history that almost never should have existed. Now we will talk about one of the most mysterious and debated coins in American history, the 1964 Special Strike Roosevelt Dime, a coin so rare, so secretive, that even professional numismatists still argue about its true origin. Unlike regular proof or circulation coins, this dime has a strange look, almost proof-like, yet not quite. Its surfaces are satin smooth, its details razor sharp, and its strike quality unlike anything produced that year. Many believe it was never meant for the public at all. Yet somehow, it exists, and each example is worth tens of thousands of dollars today. To understand why this dime is so mysterious, we need to look back at history. The year was 1964. A turbulent time for U.S. coinage. Silver prices were soaring, and the U.S. Mint was preparing to stop using silver in coins. Collectors were hoarding coins, and the Mint was under pressure to produce billions more. At the same time, special proof coin sets were discontinued after 1964 due to production changes. But hidden somewhere in that transition, a few extremely rare 1964 Special Mint Set SMS coins were secretly struck, including the legendary 1964 SMS Roosevelt Dime. Only a handful of these coins are known to exist, all discovered decades later. Their surfaces are unlike any proof or business strike. The coin has a soft satin finish, squared-off rims, and extremely sharp details, suggesting it was made with experimental dies, possibly as a test run for the new 1965 Special Mint sets. No official record of their production exists. Many experts believe they were made at the Philadelphia Mint under special circumstances, perhaps for internal testing or presentation purposes, and never released to the public. The first 1964 SMS dime was discovered in the 1990s, inside the personal coin collection of a former U.S. Mint director. Since then, only a few more examples have surfaced, and each time one appears at auction, it makes headlines. Depending on condition, these coins can sell for $20,000 to over $50,000, with the finest known examples reaching even higher. What makes this dime even more fascinating is its aura of mystery. There are no official mint records confirming its creation, no mintage numbers, and no explanation for why it exists. It's almost as if it was never supposed to be found. A secret. Piece of coinage. History accidentally left behind. And that's exactly what makes collectors chase it with such passion. The 1964 SMS Roosevelt dime is not just rare. It's a ghost from a hidden chapter of mint history. It represents the end of America's silver coinage era and the beginning of a new age. A perfect blend of mystery, beauty, and history locked into one small coin. So if you ever come across a 1964 dime that looks slightly different, sharper details, satin surfaces, mirror edges, don't ignore it. You might be holding one of the rarest and most secretive dimes ever made, a true treasure that could easily be worth a small fortune. Now we will talk about a coin that tells the story of one of the biggest turning points in U.S. coin history, the 1965 Transitional Error Roosevelt Dime. This coin is a true relic of change, a piece born from confusion, chaos, and chance during a time when America was saying goodbye to silver coinage forever. What makes this dime so special is that it was accidentally struck on a 90% silver plancher, even though 1965 was the very first year the mint officially stopped using silver in dimes. This one mistake created one of the most valuable and legendary Roosevelt dimes ever known, a coin that now sells for $10,000 or more, depending on its condition. To understand this error, we have to travel back to the mid-1960s. The United States was facing a coin shortage, and the value of silver was rising fast. People began hoarding silver coins, expecting their metal value to surpass their face value. In response, the U.S. Mint made a historic decision. Starting in 1965, all dimes, quarters, and half dollars would be struck on copper nickel-clad planchers instead of silver. It marked the end of an era and the birth of modern coinage. But change doesn't always happen smoothly. In the rush and transition, a few leftover 1964 silver planchers, blank silver discs, meant for the previous year's coins, accidentally got mixed into the production of 1965 dimes. These silver planchers were then struck with 1965 dies, creating a handful of transitional error dimes that technically should not exist. They were released into circulation before anyone at the mint noticed. Decades later, collectors began discovering these strange dimes that weighed slightly more and looked brighter than normal 1965 coins. When tested, they were found to be made of 90% silver. Just like pre-1965 dimes, it was an astonishing discovery. Each one told the story of a once-in-a-lifetime error that slipped through the cracks during America's monetary revolution. Because they look almost identical to regular dimes, these silver transitional errors can easily go unnoticed. The best way to identify one is by checking its weight. Silver dimes weigh about 2.5 grams, while clad dimes weigh around 2.27 grams. That small difference can mean the difference between 10 cents and $10,000 when authenticated and graded by professional services. These rare transitional dimes have fetched enormous prices at auction. Some have sold for $8,000 to $12,000, depending on quality. For collectors, owning one means holding a piece of American history, a coin that bridges the silver past and the modern clad era. The 1965 Transitional Error Roosevelt dime isn't just valuable because it's rare. It's valuable because it represents change, the end of silver, the start of a new age, and a mistake that no machine or minting process can ever truly erase. So if you ever find a bright, shiny 1965 dime that feels a little heavier, don't ignore it. You might just be holding a piece of minting history. Now we will talk about the coin that started it all. The 1946 Roosevelt dime, the first ever dime to bear the face of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. This is where the story of the Roosevelt dime truly begins. A story born not just from metal and minting, but from emotion, respect, and national pride. This coin is more than a piece of money. It's a symbol of courage, leadership, and America's victory over despair. And while most 1946 dimes may seem common, some rare varieties and minting errors have turned a few of them into treasures worth thousands of dollars. The year was 1946. America had just emerged from the shadow of World War II, and the nation was mourning the loss of its beloved president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He had led the country through the Great Depression and guided it to victory in one of history's darkest times. But Roosevelt's legacy extended beyond politics. He was also the founder of the March of Dimes, a campaign that raised funds to fight polio, the very disease he battled throughout his life. After his death in 1945, it was only fitting that his portrait would replace the Mercury design on the U.S. dime, a heartfelt tribute to the man whose efforts helped save millions of lives. In 1946, the U.S. Mint began producing the new Roosevelt Dime in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each bore its own mint mark, and all were struck in 90% silver, giving the coin a bright, beautiful luster that collectors still love today. But among these coins, certain rare versions stand out, especially those with unique double-die errors, full torch bands, and high-grade proofs. The most sought-after among them is the 1946 S full bands dime, where the horizontal lines on the torch at the center of the reverse are fully separated and sharply struck. This level of detail is extremely rare, as most dimes from that year have weakly struck bands. A perfect full bands example can fetch $1,000 to $3,000, depending on its condition. Another rarity is the 1946 double die obverse, where Roosevelt's profile and inscriptions appear doubled. Due to a minting error, these are incredibly hard to find, and collectors are willing to pay thousands for one in pristine shape. But beyond value, the 1946 dime holds deep sentimental importance. It marked a new beginning for American coinage, the first coin to honor a modern president, still fresh in people's hearts. Every detail, from Roosevelt's calm expression to the torch, olive branch and oak on the reverse, tells a story of peace, strength, and unity. Today, owning a 1946 Roosevelt dime is like holding a piece of post-war history in your hand, a reminder of America's resilience and gratitude. And while most are common, those rare varieties and minting errors make this first-year issue a cornerstone for serious collectors. So, if you come across a 1946 dime, don't underestimate it, because that coin can be the most valuable piece of all. Now we will talk about one of the earliest and most valuable treasures of the Roosevelt dime series, the 1949 Roosevelt dime. This coin carries not only the image of one of America's greatest presidents, but also a deep sense of history and rarity that makes collectors chase it even today. The year 1949 marked the dawn of post-war America, a time of rebuilding, hope, and change. And among the ordinary coins of that year, a few extraordinary Roosevelt dimes were born that would go on to become symbols of rarity and value. The 1949 Roosevelt dime was struck in 90% silver, a metal that already gives it a special charm and historical worth. But what truly makes certain 1949 dimes incredibly valuable is their mint mark and condition, especially the 1949S and 1949D mint dimes, which had relatively low mintages compared to other years. The San Francisco mint produced fewer than 10 million of them, making these coins quite scarce today, especially in uncirculated or proof-like condition. A perfect 1949S dime in pristine grade can sell for thousands of dollars, and examples with full torch details on the reverse are even rarer and more valuable. But the real gem of this year's issue lies in a few spectacular error and proof varieties, coins that slipped through the minting process, with unique imperfections or striking differences that make them one of a kind. Some 1949 dimes were struck with extra strong details, mirror-like finishes, or slight misalignments that make collectors' hearts race. Each of these coins tells a story of craftsmanship, of transition, and of a nation honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt only 4 years after his passing. Over time, the 1949 Roosevelt dime became much more than just 10 cents. It became a piece of living history. A coin from the early days of the series when silver still flowed through American currency, and every strike carried weight and pride. Today, high grade or error, 1949 dimes have sold for over $10,000 at major auctions. Depending on rarity and preservation, that's a massive fortune for a coin most people once overlooked. So, the next time you see a shiny 1949 dime, look closely under the date. If you spot an S or D mint mark, and the coin shines with that beautiful silver tone, you might be holding one of the earliest and most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever made. A small piece of history worth far more than its face value, and a true reminder of how silver, precision, and time can turn an ordinary dime into a priceless treasure. Now we will talk about the 1950 Roosevelt dime, a shining relic from the early years of the Roosevelt series that carries both history and hidden value. This small silver coin may look simple, but behind its surface lies a powerful story of transition, precision, and post-war pride. By 1950, America was entering a new decade full of hope, invention, and recovery. After the hard years of World War II, coins of that time were more than just currency. They were symbols of national strength, and the Roosevelt dime, introduced only a few years earlier, stood as a daily tribute to the beloved President Franklin D. Roosevelt and his efforts to end the Great Depression and lead the nation through the war. The 1950 dime continued the tradition of being struck in 90% silver, giving it both metallic beauty and long-lasting value. But what makes it truly special are the rarer versions produced at the Denver and San Francisco mints, the 1950S and 1950D. Roosevelt dimes had limited mintages compared with later years, and examples that survived in flawless condition with full torch details are highly prized today. A brilliant, uncirculated 1950S dime can bring hundreds to even thousands of dollars depending on grade and luster, while proof-like examples with deep mirrors are considered exceptional treasures. Even more exciting are the error and variety coins from 1950, pieces struck with doubled dies, misaligned strikes, or repunched mint marks that collectors are constantly hunting for. These small differences, invisible to the casual eye, can make one dime worth several $1,000s to the right buyer. Every 1950 dime tells a story of the meticulous craftsmanship and occasional human error that make coin collecting so fascinating. Over the years, the 1950 Roosevelt dime has become a favorite among collectors who love early silver issues. It marks a point in time when U.S. coins were still made of precious metal, when designs were engraved by hand, and when each coin carried a bit of American spirit. Finding one in pristine condition today is like holding a perfectly preserved piece of mid-century history, a reminder of how something so small can hold such meaning and value. So if you ever come across a 1950 dime in your change or an old coin jar, take a close look. Check for that tiny D or S beneath the date, and the shine of real silver along the edge, because hidden in that little coin could be a rare piece worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and a timeless story of America's resilience engraved forever in silver. And that brings us to the end of this incredible journey through the world of the most valuable Roosevelt dimes ever discovered, from missing mint marks that turned ordinary proof coins into treasures worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, to silver compositions that weren't supposed to exist. Each of these tiny coins tells a story far bigger than their size. They're not just pieces of metal. They're moments of history frozen in time, reminders of America's changing economy, evolving minting technology, and the rare accidents that make collectors' hearts race. What makes the Roosevelt Dime series so fascinating is how it blends everyday simplicity with unimaginable rarity. Millions of these dimes were struck over the years, yet only a handful became legends. The 1975 No S-proof dime, the 1968 and 1982 no mint mark errors, the 1949 and 1950 silver treasures, and many more. Each one carries its own mystery, its own twist of fate that turned a 10-cent coin into a piece of numismatic gold. These coins remind us that sometimes the smallest mistakes can create the biggest fortunes. Think about it. Thousands of people have handled these coins without realizing their true worth. They've sat in drawers, jars, and wallets, hiding in plain sight. But for those with curiosity, knowledge, and a little luck, even a single dime could mean discovering something extraordinary. That's what makes coin collecting so powerful. It's not just about money, it's about history, passion, and the thrill of uncovering something no one else noticed. So next time you get change from a store, don't ignore those little dimes. Look at the date, check for mint marks, and pay attention to every small detail. Because who knows? Your next coin might not be just 10 cents. It could be worth thousands or even millions. Every coin has a story, and yours might be the next great discovery waiting to happen. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories about rare and valuable coins from around the world. And don't forget to comment below which Roosevelt dime surprised you the most. Maybe it's one you already have in your collection. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your coins safe, and your passion for history alive. Because in the world of coins, the smallest pieces often hold the greatest treasures.